Hello and thank you for stopping by. My name is Angeli Ibesuku. I recently uploaded a video titled Bringing in Dependents on a Skilled Workers Visa. I would leave a link to the video in my description box, but the video reminded me of a time when I was denied a dependent visa. So I thought to share my experience to maybe help one or two persons or encourage people in their visa journey. The process of obtaining visa for those of us from less developed countries can sometimes be frustrating and daunting. And never mind all the money we spend on the application, only for sometimes to be denied a visa based on some flimsy reason. So to make matters worse for me, money was especially tight because I had just graduated. I wasn't working yet. So I look different because I did record this video, and at the point when I was editing it, I realized I hadn't recorded with my microphone, and I'm sitting in the car. There are lots of cars passing, but anyway, hopefully I can get this done just now with a good audio. So a little bit of a backstory. We were engaged for about 2 years prior to getting married, and during the time when we were engaged, my now husband, he traveled to the UK to study, and I went to a different country to study. The reason why I'm giving this backstory is the visa which he traveled with and the one I traveled with as well to study, they were processed by us. And even before filing for this dependent visa, I had also traveled to the UK twice and returned voluntarily. So we were really experienced in applying for visa. It's not like we didn't know what we were doing at the time when we applied, because we did apply by ourselves. So back to the story. So the original plan was that when he was done with his studies and I'm done with mine, we would go back to Nigeria and then would live there, get married and live there. But the plans changed when shortly after he graduated, he got a job. So we thought the most sensible thing to do would be for both of us to go back to Nigeria, get married. I mean, he was living in the UK, for him to travel down to Nigeria, and then I moved back to Nigeria after my studies. We get married there, and then I'll file to join him as his dependent, which was what we did. So we had a court registry, and the plan we had was that he would come in just a day before, you know, just like every other person who works here and every other place, you have limited amount of leave. So we thought he should come in just a day before the court registry, would get married, then he would spend some time with me in Nigeria, travel back, and then I would file for to be his dependent. So we did just that. He came in a day before. We went to the court registry. We had the registry. We were provided with the marriage certificate, and then we went back home. So we didn't have any elaborate wedding. We took a couple of pictures on our phones, and one of our friends also did record the signing of the registry, and that was just it. So we went back home and then like I said, we got the marriage certificate just like every other person would. So he stayed a couple of days, and then he traveled back to the UK, and I started the visa application process. So being that we were experienced, like I already mentioned, and had been to the UK and returned voluntarily, I never thought anything of it. I thought it would be a simple process, just apply, get the visa, and then travel to join him. And so you can imagine my surprise when I realized I had been denied the visa. Now, at the point when I realized I was denied the visa, I was upset, I was angry, I was surprised, because in my mind I was thinking, oh, we're going to have to find a way to get another money. Money is tight to apply for this visa again. And then I saw the reasons they gave for denying the visa, and I even became more surprised and angry. I mean, it would be fine. It would have been fine if the reasons were that I didn't meet up with the criteria. I mean, then I would have thought to myself, well, I should have known what the criteria is and made sure I met it, so I would prepare myself better and apply again. But that wasn't the case. They gave 3 reasons, and I'm going to read out the reasons which they provided for denying the visa. Now, the first reason they stated was that the bank statement which I provided was over a 2-month period, and they wanted a 3-month period bank statement provided. This was clearly false. I provided a 3-month period of bank statement, and that was very clear. Obviously, someone didn't bother to look at the documents, or I'm not sure what happened. And then the second reason which they provided was that there was no satisfactory evidence to show that I am married and I intend to live with my husband. Again, like I said, we had a court registry. We were provided with a marriage certificate which was issued by the Federal Republic of Nigeria. You would think that a marriage certificate would mean anything to when you apply for visa, but clearly marriage certificate from countries like ours is nothing to these people. So as far as they were concerned, I was not married. The marriage certificate means nothing. And the third reason which was provided was that there was no evidence to show that my husband was in the UK at the time for the wedding. Now, however you look at this, it's really a shocking reason, because these are supposed to be professionals, and travel is a basic human right. Anyone who meets the requirements to travel should by law be given a visa, but that is not the case for us. We get treated differently, and that is quite sad. He provided me all the documents which I used to apply for this visa. In it, he provided his proof of employment, he provided the proof of address, and there was no reason for anyone to think that he wasn't living in the UK at the time. I mean, he clearly lived in the UK, and the proof were all the documents he provided. Now, if there was any doubt, they could have requested for more documents. And the other way to look at it is he traveled down to Nigeria from the UK for this court registry and traveled back. At the point when he left the UK, his passport was stamped. At the point when he got into Nigeria, passport was stamped. At the point when he left and also got back into the UK, his passport was stamped as well. So this is clearly something that could have been easily verified if they cared at all. I did make a number of efforts to try and see if I could get someone to explain what all of this is about, or even to explain that they should probably just please look at the documents which were provided, and everything they stated there were provided for them that could clear up the doubts if they have any doubt. But it was fruitless. I did also get the form. In fact, I'm reading this from the appeal form which I filled. I filled an appeal form, and I was going to appeal the decision, but we decided, after we weighed all of our options, we decided that this appealing the decision might be a lengthy and fruitless journey. So we decided that we should perhaps make a fresh application, and we did. We made a fresh application, and we included so many things. There was nothing we did not include. We included text messages from conversations between both of us. We even included the little video which was taken at the time of the registry. We included pictures. There was nothing we did not include. And at a point, it felt like a violation of one's privacy, because most of the things we were providing weren't indeed necessary for a visa application. But then we had to provide all of that just to make sure we were not denied the visa. Thankfully, the second application was successful, but it just goes to show how those of us from the so-called third world countries get treated when we are looking for visas, as if we're committing a crime. Traveling is a basic human right, for crying out loud, and it is really unfair that we get treated this way. They should take their time to look at the documents, and everyone who meets the criteria should be granted a visa.